Hey guys, Matt from Model Minutes here and welcome back to the workbench. Today I'm taking a look at this, the Airfix Supermarine Swift FR.5 in 1/72 scale. Join me as I take a look inside the box and see what this one is like. So on the front cover here, we've got a rather exciting image of two Swifts in flight just above the clouds. Down here on the left, we've got two different drawings depicting the two different paint schemes which are included in this kit. And then down here at the bottom left, we've got the item code, which is A04003. Flipping over to the back, and we've got information about the Airfix Club, but it's probably worth ignoring that now because this looks to be like it's the old club and not the club that was recently released in 2020. Warning information in different languages on this side, and if we flip over to this long edge, we've got some information about the real Supermarine Swift. We've got information about the actual model saying it's 180mm long, 138 wide, and there are 62 parts. And then we've got the two different paint schemes here. Both aircraft are from 1956 in Germany, but they are flown by different people in different squadrons. A little bit further on, we've got the recommended Humbrol paint colours. 1 flying hour, which if you cut out and keep, you can redeem against more kits if you're a member of the club. And then down here it tells us it's a skill level 2, so it shouldn't be too hard to build, but Airfix seem to think it'll be a little bit harder than those who are just starting out. Onto the other side, we've got some 3D rendered drawings of the model, and they look to be quite nice. These are highlighting the various details, so they're trying to show off here that they've got a highly detailed model inside the box. And then over here we've got a little indication here that the decals are made by Cartograph, so they should be to a good quality. The short edges of the box just feature the same image as on the front, so you can identify it on the shelf. So let's get inside and see what we've got. As usual, I'm going to start by looking at the instructions. The instructions are to the familiar format from Airfix, an A4 booklet printed in various colours, and on the front we've got information about the actual Supermarine Swift and some information saying that the kit should be washed before use, just in case there's any mould release left on there. Flipping over, the standard safety information and the key to the symbols you might encounter. We start off, by the looks of it, building up the cockpit, and there are different options for the seats. As we progress through, we add various things, and it seems to me that there are decals which need to go on the inside of the cockpit. Constructing the representation of the engine and the air intakes, they go inside the fuselage. And then here we've got an indication of an optional part. And this looks to me to be for the sort where the camera would be in the nose for the photo-reconnaissance version. Continuing down, it indicates here that we need to add 2 grams of weight to the nose so that when the wheels are down, it doesn't sit on its tail because this has a tricycle landing gear. And then the wings are added. It looks to me as if the underbelly tank, if you're going to install that, you need to open up these 2 holes. So the fact that we've got these sort of things going on in the instructions tells me that Airfix are potentially going to release this in the future, not as a photo reconnaissance version. Add the tailplane. Here we've got options for the flaps. They can either be lowered or raised. Add the ailerons and then the landing gear. So here they can be in the raised position or in the lowered position. Nearly at the end now. And we're getting on to adding the pitot tube and the cockpit canopy, which again can be open or closed. And then we're met with the colour painting instructions. So the first one here has a rather striking blue underbelly, and then the second one has a silver underbelly. So those are really the 2 main differences between the paint schemes. I know they obviously represent different aircraft from different squadrons, but the camouflage on the top seems to be identical. So we're looking at a dark sea grey and green camouflage, and then either a blue or silver underbelly, depending on which one you'd rather do. I'm undecided at the moment which one I would rather do. I think maybe the blue one looks slightly more interesting, but I might change my mind close to the time I come to build it. We also get this sheet included, which is for the stencils. So these are all the little warnings and labels which come on the aircraft, and they include one of these because it's easier to print this rather than putting it all on that colour painting instructions and making it too cluttered. So let's have a look at these decals from a cartograph, and they should be to a good standard. And yes, it does look like they are to a good standard. The printing is very fine, and the registry of the colours is good as well. They're not off centre, these roundels for example. There are a lot of these stencils though. If you're not a big fan of doing decals, this might not be the kit for you. But I'm sure with a little bit of patience you'll get there in the end. Right, so let's take a look at the main event, the plastic sprues. Contained within a plastic bag, as is standard from Airfix these days, we get the various parts. 1, 2 clear sprues. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 grey plastic sprues. And just feeling them now, the plastic seems to be to the same standard that you get from most Airfix kits. It doesn't feel particularly greasy, and it feels relatively strong. Oh, hello, that bit's fallen off straight away, look. So clearly that bit where it was held on there wasn't quite thick enough. Generally there doesn't seem to be much in the way of flash, which is always nice to see. And these clear parts are the same. They are very nicely moulded and the plastic is crystal clear. However, let's just take a look at this one. Move that out of the way. So the plastic here, the clear plastic, although it's quite clear, it does seem to have sort of a rippling effect running through it. Could just be my eyes, but it just seems to be that it's almost a little bit wavy, but it's like really minimal. It's hardly noticeable unless you're looking for it. And then these ones are quite nice as well. The moulded lines though are very fine. They're not particularly prevalent. So when you come to do your masking, just be aware of that, because they're not going to be particularly easy to follow. Let's take a look at the details on the other sprues. So we've got raised and recessed details as appropriate. Mold quality is very nice. I'm struggling to see any flash on here, if there is any at all. Got the pilot seat there, that's very nicely done. Representation of the jet engine, internal parts of the flaps. Got a fuselage half here. Again, the same sort of deal, raised and recessed panel lines. It's looking like it's going to be a very nice kit to build. Number 3, same situation of a fuselage half, and then we've got some of the landing gear bays. There's actually quite a bit of detail in there. And the final sprue has the lower wing surfaces and various other smaller components. The one thing I have noticed, and I wonder if you've noticed it as well, is that Airfix are generally sort of commended by me because they include crew in their kits. But you'll notice that in this one there are no pilot figures, which is a bit of a shame, because let's face it, if I want to have this guy in a flying diorama or in a flying pose, I'm not going to be able to, because, well, I'll have to find a figure for that. It just looks a bit weird if a plane's flying around without a pilot in control of it. But that being said, the parts are generally really quite well done. So let's wrap this one up. Let's summarize what we had. We had 4 grey plastic sprues and 2 clear ones, a nice set of decals, and some reasonably easy to follow instructions. All contained inside the standard Airfix box, but it has quite an attractive image on the front. So let's talk a little bit about this kit. This dates from 2015. That's when this was originally tooled. So there's not been any re-releases or different paint schemes released since. It seems to me that if they have re-released it, it's been the exact same version. So this is effectively the 2015 version. It is quite nice that Airfix have decided to finally design, tool and release a Swift, as I know in various places people have been calling out to have a model of this. There have been sort of bespoke model kits available, but they've not particularly been mainstream, so they've been quite hard to get your hands on. But let's talk about the price of this one. The recommended retail price of this is $18.99 here in the UK. That's just shy of £19. But I was fortunate enough to get this one for £13 at a closing down sale of the Hornby model shop in Swindon. Sadly, that's no longer there anymore. For £13, certainly worth the money. Not entirely sure it's worth that £19 or £20 price tag though, especially as it's missing a pilot figure. But I guess that Airfix kind of have to justify a new tool with a slightly higher price to recover those costs. But anyway, what did you think of this kit? Is it something that you'd get for yourself? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget that you can also leave a suggestion for other videos you might like to see as well. If you're wondering how I can afford to keep buying model kits and things all the time, that's thanks to my patrons over on Patreon and my channel members here on YouTube. A massive thank you to these guys on screen. If you'd like to join them and find out more, take a look at the links in the description. If however you'd like to support my channel for free, click that subscribe button and click that notification bell so that you'd never miss a modelling video. You'll also find links to my social media accounts down in the description box as well. All that's left to say is a massive thank you to you for watching, and I'll see you on the workbench again next time.